The printer started on its own. No one had touched it. At 2:47 a.m., in the fluorescent silence of the Tall Ridge accounting office, a single sheet fed through the old HP laserjet by the window. Then another, and another. Brenda watched from her cubicle, the blue glow of her monitor reflecting off her glasses. She was the only one left. She always was, the night worker who liked silence more than home. But this wasn't silence anymore. Her click. Her click. The printer spat out pages that looked blank until she held one closer. Faint gray lines began to appear, like veins under skin. Shapes forming, letters she hadn't typed. Do not turn around. The hum of the air conditioner cut off. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She stared at the printer, then the window. The city below was still, fog drifting over the empty parking lot. Something moved in the reflection of the glass, behind her. The printer hissed one more page. The words were darker now. I said don't. And then, from the hallway, a soft whisper. Brenda, you left me here. Brenda McCall worked data entry for a mid-tier accounting firm. Quiet woman, 42, divorced, too polite for her own good. Every night she stayed behind to catch up, though everyone knew it was just to avoid going home. The office after midnight felt different, less like a workplace, more like a waiting room for something unsaid. Lights buzzed. Computers hummed long after shutdown. The break room fridge rattled every few minutes, like something breathing inside. That night, she'd come in early to process invoices for a client no one had heard of, Chamber and Sons Holdings. Their forms came through encrypted, unsigned, and always late. But they paid well. She was halfway through the stack when she noticed the printer light blinking. Out of paper again, she muttered, walking to refill it. Only. The tray wasn't empty. It was spitting pages continuously, like a glitch that refused to end. Each page looked the same at first, gray static, faintly textured. But the longer she stared, the more the pattern shifted, faces emerging, eyes staring back. She blinked. Gone. Just static again. Okay, she whispered, voice trembling. I need coffee. In the break room, the lights flickered. She heard faint typing from her desk. When she returned, her keyboard was active, typing lines of gibberish, letters forming words. I never left. Still waiting. Brenda froze. Who's there? No reply. The sound of a chair creaking echoed from 3 cubicles down. She swallowed. Alan? That you? Alan had been her supervisor. Had. He'd died in this same office 2 years ago, a heart attack at his desk. She'd found him, face pale against the glow of his monitor. She'd never been able to unsee it. Alan? Her voice cracked. This isn't funny. A reply came, not from a throat, but from the printer itself, the grinding sound warping into a low mechanical murmur. You left me here. Her coffee cup slipped and shattered. The next morning, Brenda told no one. She couldn't. They'd laugh, but the printer didn't stop. Every night since, it printed more. Pages that looked blank until she stared too long. By the 5th night, she started hearing typing when she wasn't near her desk, screens flickering with half-formed words. She unplugged the printer. It kept printing. She called IT. A man named Derek came up, tired, half listening. You sure? It's not just a memory spool, he said, tapping at the machine. Brenda handed him one of the sheets. Then explain this. He squinted. It's just gray noise. A jammed head, maybe. Then his eyes widened. Wait. Hold up. He tilted the paper under the light. The image sharpened. A faint photo, like a scan of something half-developed. A man's face. Alan's. Mouth open. Eyes dark holes. Derek dropped the page. Where'd you get that? It printed itself. He laughed nervously. Yeah, okay. Ghost printer, sure. She didn't answer. The air between them felt colder. That night, the printer started again at exactly 2:47 a.m., but this time, there was breathing. A slow exhale that seemed to come from inside the machine. She tore open the back panel, shining her phone light inside. Wires, dust, toner. Nothing. Then something blinked. 2 eyes. She screamed and stumbled back. The printer clattered, spitting out another page. "Stop unplugging me." Her heart pounded. The air felt thick, like static before a storm. She ran to the exit door, but her badge didn't work. The green light on the scanner flicked red. Behind her, the printer started laughing. A broken, grinding noise between gears. She hit the glass with her palm. "Let me out." Silence. Then, from the cubicles, faint whispers. "Paper jam. Paper jam." She turned. Rows of monitors glowed blue one by one, lighting the empty office. Every screen showed Alan's last work report. The timestamp read 2:47 a.m., the exact minute he'd died. And beneath the report, a new line appeared. "You'll finish what I couldn't." Brenda didn't remember falling asleep, but she woke at her desk hours later, head on the keyboard. The office was darker than before. The emergency lights flickered red. Her phone was dead. Her watch too. Then the hum began again. The printer warming up. She whispered, "Please stop." Whir, click. Whir, click. Pages poured out, not blank this time. Each one bore her name, her address, her bank account, her passwords, her life. She snatched one up, her own signature, repeating endlessly. "Alan," she said hoarsely, "I didn't leave you. I tried to help." The printer stuttered. The paper jammed. Then a wet tearing sound came from inside it. A hand emerged, gray, toner-stained, clutching another sheet. Brenda screamed, stumbling backward into a desk. Alan's voice, ragged, hollow, rose from the machine. "You finished my audit." She turned to run, but the hallway warped, stretching, tilting. The exit door receded further away with every step. Desks shifted. Keyboards rattled. Monitors blinked to life, showing lines of data that formed sentences. Numbers don't end. Neither do we. The air was heavy with the smell of burnt toner and rot. Alan stepped out of the printer, half-formed, half paper, his face folded and smeared with ink. "You worked late too long, Brenda." She tried to scream again, but her voice broke into sobs. He reached out, hand flaking like ash. "You're promoted." Her vision blurred. The office lights dimmed to black. The last sound she heard was the soft hum of the printer feeding another page, one with her face printed across it. Morning. The cleaning staff entered Tall Ridge Accounting at 7 a.m. Everything looked normal, except for the printer tray overflowing with gray sheets. The top page bore a new name, Derek Lowell. He didn't come to work that day. Later, IT logged into the network. They found a new user profile active since 3 a.m., created under Brenda's ID. The system wouldn't allow deletion. The desk by the window was empty, but her chair still rocked slightly, as if someone had just stood up. And every night since, the printer starts at 2:47 a.m. And you're sharp. Always printing, always humming. Each page darker than the last. Sometimes the janitor swears he hears whispering near it, soft, paper-thin voices repeating, "Still working. Still working." It was 3:11 a.m. when the security cameras caught movement on the 14th floor. The building had been empty since midnight. No lights, no staff, just the hum of servers and the sigh of recycled air. Ralph, the night security guard, leaned forward in his chair. The motion alert blinked red on camera 14. "Not again," he muttered, rubbing sleep from his eyes. He clicked the feed. The screen flickered, grainy, black and white. A figure stood in the corridor, motionless, facing the wall. Ralph frowned. "Cleaning crew's gone home." The figure didn't move, just stood there, head tilted slightly toward the camera. He zoomed in. The man's face was blurred, static crawling across it like snow, but his ID badge shimmered faintly. Ralph leaned closer. The badge read, Ralph Dunning, his own name. The screen distorted violently, then cut to black. A second later, all 16 cameras came online at once. Every feed showed the same hallway, the same figure, getting closer, and in the monitor reflection, Ralph saw something impossible. Himself, sitting in the chair, watching the screen, while another version of him stood just behind, breathing slow and heavy. Ralph had worked security at Norwell Tower for 12 years. He liked the night shifts, the quiet, the illusion of safety. Every floor had its own cameras, and every camera had its own dead pixel pattern. He knew them all. It was his comfort. Those small flaws that made sense in a building full of nonsense. But lately, he'd noticed something different. Cameras looping footage out of sync, lights flickering on floors no one used, and sometimes the elevators moved on their own. Power surge, his boss always said. Old wiring. But Ralph knew old wiring didn't whisper. He first heard it a week ago, through the intercom, static that sounded like a voice saying his name. He'd muted it, ignored it, pretended it was the air vent again. Now, after what he saw on the monitor, he couldn't pretend anymore. He replayed the footage, but the system wouldn't let him. The timestamp was gone, the feed labeled unknown input. Ralph took a deep breath and grabbed his flashlight. "If someone's messing with me," he muttered, "I'll find out." The elevator doors opened with a groan. He pressed 14. The ride up felt longer than usual. The floor counter blinked erratically. 10, 12, 15, 14. When the doors slid open, darkness swallowed him. Only the faint red glow of the exit sign cut through. "Hello?" he called. His voice echoed back, fainter, slower. "Hello?" He swept his flashlight across the hallway. Empty cubicles, stale air. Then, halfway down the corridor, he saw movement, a figure slipping around the corner. "Hey, stop right there." He ran forward. The beam of his flashlight flickered. The figure turned a corner. Ralph followed, straight into the cold hum of the server room. Rows of black towers lined the space, blinking green and blue. In the reflection of the server glass, something stood behind him. He spun. Nothing. The servers buzzed louder, almost like whispering voices overlapping. "You're not alone, Ralph." He backed toward the door, breath fogging. Then one of the server screens flickered on, displaying security footage of the 14th floor. He saw himself on the screen, standing right where he was now. Only the version on the feed was smiling. Ralph ran back to the security office, slamming the door and locking it. Sweat trickled down his neck. He stared at the monitors. Every camera was now focused on him, every angle of his own room. He yanked the plug. The monitors stayed on. "All right," he muttered, voice trembling. "You want to play? Let's play." He reached for the intercom switch. "Who's in the building?" Static. Then, his own voice replied. "You are." He froze. "What did you say?" The same voice again, softer this time. "You are. You never left." His hands shook. "This is a recording. A prank." But he knew it wasn't. His lips weren't moving when the voice spoke again. "Look at camera 14. He did. The figure was back, standing closer now, just outside the security door. Ralph rose slowly, flashlight in hand. "Stay out," he warned, though his voice cracked halfway through. The doorknob rattled. He stepped back. "Who are you?" he shouted. The voice answered through the intercom again. "You." The door creaked open. No one there. He edged forward, the light trembling in his hand. In the hall, the motion sensors flicked on one by one, leading down the corridor like breadcrumbs. Each light revealed another version of him, Ralph's standing in different poses, frozen mid-step, like mannequins in security uniforms. He staggered backward. "No, no, no." Their faces began to move, mouths opening, words in unison, distorted like warped radio. "You fell asleep. You didn't wake up." Ralph screamed and bolted into the stairwell. He ran down flight after flight, counting floors, but the numbers didn't make sense. After the 9th, he hit 14 again, then 15, then 14. The building looped, panting. He slammed his fist against the metal door and forced it open, only to find himself back in the security office. The monitors flickered. All 16 screens now showed him, sitting exactly where he stood. The real Ralph took a shaky step toward the chair. The figure on the monitor mimicked him perfectly. He raised his flashlight. The figure did too. Then it smiled. The lights cut out. Only the monitors glowed now. showing his reflection from 1,000 different angles. "Wake up," said his voice from one of the screens. Ralph covered his ears. "Stop it. Wake up," another repeated. "Wake up." All the screens screamed the phrase at once, the sound distorting until it became one long metallic wail. He fell to his knees, pressing his palms over his ears. Then silence. When he looked up, the monitors displayed static again, except one. Camera 14. The figure stood inside the security office, directly behind him. Ralph turned slowly. The flashlight slipped from his hand and rolled across the floor, its beam landing on his own face. Or rather, something wearing it. The double grinned. Finally awake. Before he could move, the thing lunged forward, merging into him like smoke. His vision blurred. He gasped, then steadied. Moments later, the security room was calm again. A man sat at the console, adjusting the camera feeds. Everything looked fine. He smiled at the reflection in the glass. Another quiet night. The meeting was supposed to last 30 minutes. At least that's what the calendar said. But when Claire checked her watch, it was already 1:23 a.m. Everyone was still sitting at the table. Same faces, same slideshow, same half-empty coffee cups. The projector hummed softly. Frozen on the same slide, Q3 productivity goals. She glanced at her manager, Ms. Dyer. Her eyes were glassy. Smile fixed. "Sorry," Claire said softly. "How long have we been here?" No answer. Just the rhythmic click of the projector changing slides, though the images never changed. "Hello?" Ms. Dyer turned to her slowly. "We're not done yet," Claire blinked. "It's past 1. Ms. Dyer's smile widened, too slow, too wide. "Check again." Claire looked at her watch. It now read 8:04 p.m. She looked back up. The coffee cups were full again. The slideshow title had changed, Q2 productivity goals. Her stomach turned. The hum of the lights deepened, almost like breathing. When she looked at her reflection in the glass wall, she saw the conference room behind her, and herself, still sitting there, not moving at all. Claire Dalton had been with Merkel and Bright Consulting for 6 years, long enough to know the company's culture. Endless meetings, fake smiles, no exits. She was used to staying late, though not this late. When her team lead, Ms. Dyer, called for a quick after-hours sync, she didn't dare say no. There were 5 of them: Claire, Dyer, Marlon from finance, Nina from HR, and the intern, Kevin, who'd been nervously sipping coffee since 9 p.m. At first, it was just a typical meeting: charts, targets, meaningless jargon. But after the first hour, the air began to feel wrong. Time moved unevenly. Her laptop clock froze. The projector cycled back to the same slide again and again, and yet everyone else seemed calm, nodding, scribbling notes that didn't make sense. "Let's review our numbers again," Ms. Dyer said, voice steady. "We already did," Claire said quietly. Ms. Dyer blinked as if she hadn't heard. "Let's review our numbers again." Kevin whispered to her. "She's been saying that for I don't know how long. Why haven't we left?" Claire asked. Kevin stared down at his notes. The handwriting was different on each line. Some weren't even his. "Because," he said slowly, "the doors don't open." She frowned. "What?" He gestured toward the glass wall. She stood, crossed to it, and tried the handle. It didn't budge. Beyond the glass, the hallway lights flickered endlessly. "Is there another exit?" "No," Kevin whispered. "There never is." Claire's sense of time dissolved. At some point, Marlon was standing by the projector, speaking in a flat tone, slides flipping through months she didn't recognize. "Our Q1 review has been promising. As you can see, targets are met." But the images weren't graphs anymore, they were faces. Distorted versions of the people in the room, mouths open in silent screams. "Stop," Claire said. "This isn't right." Dyer turned to her, still smiling. "You're not contributing, Claire. I'm not supposed to be here anymore." She snapped. "It's morning. It has to be morning." Kevin whispered. "It doesn't become morning here." The lights flickered again. For an instant, everyone vanished. Just empty chairs and a humming projector. Then they were back mid-sentence, continuing as if nothing happened. She reached for her phone. No signal, no clock. The date had reset to March 17th, 11:31 p.m. The same timestamp kept reappearing. No matter how many times she checked, she leaned close to Kevin. "We have to break the glass," he nodded weakly. They grabbed chairs, swung them at the wall, impact echoing like thunder. The glass didn't crack. Instead, their reflections did. Their mirror selves turned to face them, expressions wrong, delayed. Kevin dropped the chair. "That's not—" The reflection of Ms. Dyer smiled wider, teeth gleaming sharp in the fluorescent light. "Sit down," both versions of her said in unison. Claire stumbled back into her seat. The projector hummed louder. Slides blurred. The words stretched and warped into spirals, and then, faintly, a new slide appeared. Meeting minutes. Session 47. Claire froze. "Session what?" Kevin's voice trembled. "I remember that slide." She turned. "You've seen it before?" He nodded, eyes hollow. "All of them, I think we keep starting over." Dyer clapped her hands once. "Let's review our numbers again," Claire snapped. She lunged across the table, grabbing the projector cable and yanking it free. The room went dark, except for the exit sign glowing faintly red. Everyone sat motionless in the dark. No one breathed. "Okay," she whispered. "We're leaving." She pushed Kevin toward the door. It was cold under her fingers, too cold. The metal burned her skin like frost. "Help me," she said. He pressed his shoulder against it. The door groaned, flexed, then gave way, opening into blinding white. "Go!" she shouted. Kevin stumbled through. Claire followed, and found herself standing at the head of the conference table again. Everyone in their seats. Same slide, same hum. "Let's review our numbers again," Ms. Dyer said. "No." Claire slammed her hands on the table. "We already did this." The projector froze. Everyone turned toward her in perfect unison. "Then maybe you should present," Dyer said. Claire looked down. A printed agenda sat in front of her. Presenter, Claire Dalton. Topic, continuation. Her name pulsed faintly on the page. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." The lights dimmed. Behind Dyer, the wall began to ripple like liquid glass. From within, shapes pressed against it. Other faces, other versions of themselves, trapped in looping motion. Kevin started sobbing. "We never get out, do we?" The glass wall cracked, not outward but inward, pulling toward the light inside it. Ms. Dyer stood, smiling still. "We appreciate your commitment to the team, Claire." The ceiling lights exploded. The projector burst into static. Claire screamed as everything folded, room twisting, sound distorting, gravity bending sideways. Then, silence. Morning light filtered through the glass. The cleaning staff arrived to find the conference room empty, chairs neatly arranged, projector off. Only one laptop was open, Claire's. The screen showed a paused presentation titled Session 48, Continuation Report. The timestamp read March 17th, 11:31 p.m. The same moment, frozen security footage from the previous night was corrupted. Just a static loop of people sitting in the room, unmoving. In the final second of the video, one of them, Claire, looked directly at the camera and smiled. The next evening, an email went out to all staff. Reminder, all employees are required to attend the mandatory after-hours performance review on Floor 5. Session 49 will begin promptly at 11:31 p.m. The elevator stopped at the basement with a thud. No one ever went down there anymore. Melissa stepped out, flashlight trembling in her hand. The air was thick with dust and the smell of wet paper. The walls were lined with endless file cabinets, rows upon rows disappearing into darkness. She was supposed to be archiving old client folders. Simple work, just filing. But when she reached the first drawer, she froze. It was already open. Inside, manila folders lay stacked neatly, each stamped with a red sticker. Everyone bore her name. She pulled one out. The label read, Employee Incident Report, Melissa Hargrove, Q2, 14-25. Her pulse spiked. She flipped it open. Inside were photos of her desk, her apartment, her face, taken from angles she didn't recognize. At the bottom, a type note. Status, under review. She turned slowly toward the hallway. A light flickered on in the distance. A drawer slammed shut by itself. Then, faintly, a whisper. File complete. Melissa hated her job. She'd been an archivist assistant at Brentford and Lyle Legal Group for almost 3 years. Buried under stacks of documents no one read anymore. Everyone else worked upstairs, in glass-walled offices with fake plants and filtered light. She worked in the basement, where air didn't move and shadows stuck to your shoes. That night, she'd stayed late to reorganize the closed-case files. Her supervisor, Mr. Kern, had given her a key card for the lower archive room. "Don't go past Section D," he warned casually. "The rest isn't cataloged," she'd laughed. "What, the haunted files?" He didn't laugh back. Now, hours later, the joke didn't feel funny. She'd finished sections A through C and was heading toward D when her flashlight dimmed. She tapped it. "Don't do this now." It flickered back to life, revealing a small red file tag on the floor like a breadcrumb. She bent down. The tag read MH, active, her initials. Her breath hitched. "Okay," she whispered, voice shaking. "Who's screwing with me?" No reply, just the echo of her own voice bouncing down the metal corridor. When she reached Section D, the drawers hummed faintly, as if something was breathing inside them. Then she found it. Drawer 12D, the one filled entirely with her own files. Her hands shook as she flipped through them. Each folder was filled with papers she hadn't written, records of calls she'd made, messages she'd sent, things she'd never said, and photos. Always photos. One of her entering the office, one leaving, one sleeping in her bed. She dropped the folder. No. No. Behind her, a filing drawer creaked open. She turned, slowly. Inside, another folder waited. This one was blank, except for the label, Incident, Pending. Melissa ran back toward the elevator. The button didn't light up. She slammed it again. "Come on!" The air shifted behind her, soft footsteps echoing through the aisles. She turned, flashlight shaking. A figure moved between the cabinets, tall, thin, wearing an office ID badge. Its head tilted unnaturally, like a puppet hung too long on a string. "Mr. Kern," she whispered. The shape didn't answer. She took a step backward. "Who's there?" a voice whispered from the dark. "Review in progress." Her light caught on a reflection, a pair of glassy eyes staring from inside a drawer. Just before it slammed shut again, she bolted, weaving between aisles, files brushing against her sleeves. The drawers began sliding open one by one as she passed, whispering in papery voices. Filed. Misfiled. Pending. She stumbled, hitting the floor. Her flashlight rolled away, stopping at a cabinet marked Personnel, Inactive. A folder slid out on its own and dropped open in front of her. Inside was a photo of her supervisor, Mr. Kern. His eyes were hollow, his mouth stitched shut. The next page was worse, a list titled Transfer Records. Under Recipient, it read Melissa Hargrove, her own name. She slammed the folder shut. "Stop it!" The overhead lights flickered to life all at once, blinding her. The figure from before stood at the end of the aisle. Closer now. His badge glinted. Kern, M. Archives. He smiled faintly, but his skin looked paper-thin, the edges fraying like torn parchment. "You shouldn't read what isn't yours," he said in a voice that sounded like dry leaves. "Where are my files from?" she demanded. He tilted his head. "You made them." No, I didn't. You've been down here before." Her breath caught. "What?" "Every time someone new takes the archive role, they inherit the last employee's record." He stepped forward, eyes hollow but smiling. "Congratulations, Melissa. You've been promoted." The lights dimmed. The cabinets began to hum again. Low, mechanical, almost rhythmic. Melissa stumbled back, clutching the flashlight. "I'm leaving." "You can't," Kern whispered. "You're part of the file now." The drawers opened in unison. Sheets of paper lifted into the air, swirling around her like snow. Each bore her handwriting, confessions, dreams, fears she'd never spoken. "No," she screamed, ripping one from the air. Her name was signed at the bottom. Ink bled across the page, forming new words. File merged. Status: complete. Kern reached out a hand, its skin peeling into strips of paper as he moved. "You'll be remembered here." Melissa swung the flashlight at him, shattering the bulb. Darkness swallowed the room, but the glow didn't vanish completely. Faint light pulsed from the drawers themselves, as if something alive beat within them. The file cabinets began closing in, aisles shrinking. Metal scraped the floor like grinding teeth. She clawed toward the elevator, shoving papers aside, gasping for air. The button flickered weakly. The doors opened. Inside stood another Melissa, identical, calm, smiling. "Where are you going?" the double asked softly. "Your work's not finished. I'm not you." The other Melissa tilted her head. "You will be." As the doors closed, the sound of filing drawers echoed louder, like applause. The next morning, a new intern arrived at Brentford and Lyle. Mr. Kern greeted her warmly. "You'll be assisting in archives. Melissa's no longer with us." The girl nodded nervously. "Oh, did she quit?" He smiled faintly. In a manner of speaking, he handed her a key card. "Don't go past Section D." Downstairs, the lights hummed quietly. The air smelled faintly of toner and dust. In the back corner of Section D, drawer 12D sat half open. A single folder waited inside. Employee Incident Report. Melissa Hargrove. Status closed. As the intern slid the drawer shut, a whisper echoed softly from within. "File complete." The motion sensor went off again. Dale glanced at the monitor. West hallway, 2:13 a.m. But the feed showed nothing. Just empty corridors bathed in sterile fluorescent light. He muttered, "Probably the AC again." He sipped cold coffee, squinting at the flickering monitors. The office above was silent, a tomb of cubicles and screensavers. Then something caught his eye. In the corner of the hallway camera, movement. A shadow. He leaned closer. The screen crackled. The figure turned toward the camera, too far to see clearly, yet somehow facing him. The intercom buzzed once, faintly, then a voice whispered through the static, "You're late for your shift." He froze. He was the only one scheduled tonight. Dale Brooks had been the night security guard at Harrison and Gable Corporate Center for almost 6 years. Quiet work, good pay, no people. He liked the stillness, the hum of lights, the way footsteps echoed across the marble floor. But recently, things had been different. Monitors flickered at random. Door sensors tripped without cause. Cleaning bots wandered into dead zones and never came back. When he told his supervisor, Mr. Denning, the man just smiled and said, "Don't overthink it. The system runs itself." That night, the building felt heavier somehow. The lobby air was thick, like breathing through fabric. He made his usual rounds: lobby, mailroom, IT corridor. All clear. Then he reached floor 7, Legal and Records Division, and the elevator doors refused to open. The display blinked. Access denied. He frowned. "That's new." He swiped again. This time it said, "Overtime approved." The doors slid open by themselves. The hallway lights on floor 7 were dimmer than the rest. A faint humming came from down the corridor. As he walked, he noticed a door ajar. File room D inside. Cabinets stood open, papers scattered like feathers. A soft whisper echoed through the vents, voices speaking, but not words. He stepped closer, shining his flashlight inside. For an instant, he thought he saw someone at a desk, head bowed, writing. When the beam touched them, the figure dissolved into smoke. Dale stumbled back. "Jesus Christ." His radio hissed. "Security to lobby. We've got a situation." He grabbed the mic. "This is security." "Who's calling?" Static. Then a voice, calm and monotone. "Shift change in progress." Dale hurried to the elevator, but every floor button was dark except B2, archives. The elevator started moving on its own. He jabbed the door open button. Nothing. The descent took too long. Longer than the building even went. When the doors finally opened, a gust of cold air rushed in, smelling of paper and rot. The basement lights flickered on, revealing an endless grid of cubicles. But this wasn't the office layout he knew. The desks were older. Monitors with thick glass screens. Fax machines humming faintly, and every seat was occupied. Figures sat frozen, faces turned toward their screens, typing soundlessly. Their hands moved, but their eyes were hollow, wide and glassy, reflecting the monitor glow. Dale whispered, "What the hell?" He took a step forward. None of the workers moved. But the typing didn't stop. Steady, mechanical. He peered at one monitor. The screen displayed lines of text. Incident log. Brooks, D. Review pending. He backed away. The nearest figure, a woman in a faded blazer, turned her head a full 90 degrees toward him. Her mouth opened slowly. "You're early," she said, voice scraping like torn film. "I don't belong here," he stammered. She smiled. "Everyone belongs here eventually." Behind him, the elevator doors closed with a soft ding. The lights dimmed. He started running, rows of cubicles blurring past, until he hit a glass wall. Beyond it was another room filled with filing cabinets and flickering monitors. On one screen, he saw a face, his face, staring back from the security office upstairs. The version of him on screen looked terrified, whispering something he couldn't hear. Then it looked up, eyes meeting his through the camera. It mouthed, "Don't let them sign you in." Dale spun around. The entire office had gone silent. The workers had stopped typing. All of them now faced him in perfect unison. Their monitors went black. Then one by one they flickered back on, displaying the same message. New employee record created. Name, Brooks. Dale Merced is active. He ran for the emergency exit. But the door led only to another corridor lined with cubicles. The lights above buzzed and shifted, turning from white to sickly yellow. The hum of the HVAC system deepened into something like breathing. He shouted, "I'm not part of this!" From somewhere behind him, a familiar voice replied, "You already clocked in." He turned. Mr. Denning stood in the aisle, or what used to be him. His body was translucent, edges fading into static. His ID badge flickered like a dying light bulb. "Security," Denning said calmly, "is part of the system too." "What system?" Denning smiled. "The after-hours staff. We keep things running. We file what's left." He raised one ghostly hand. "You're the last file tonight." The air filled with the sound of printers and clicking keys. From the cubicles, pages began to eject, each stamped Brooks. "Detente approved." Dale lunged toward the elevator. Smashing the up button again and again, the doors opened, but instead of a lift, there was only darkness inside. Pulsing faintly like a heartbeat, a whisper drifted out. "Welcome to the night shift." He stepped back, trembling. No, I'm done." The shadows in the cubicles rose, twisting faceless shapes made of light and paper. They reached toward him, their voices blending into the low hum of the building's power. The last thing he saw before the darkness took him was his own monitor flickering to life, showing his empty chair upstairs. 2 days later, HR posted a memo. "We regret to inform staff that Mr. Dale Brooks, night security, has resigned effective immediately. Please direct any inquiries to facilities management." At 9:02 p.m., the building lights flickered as a new guard arrived. A young man, nervous but eager. He took a sip of his coffee, glanced at the bank of monitors and sighed, all clear. Except one feed labeled B2, Archives, showed a figure sitting quietly at a desk, security uniform. Head bowed, typing. The guard leaned closer. Didn't think anyone worked down there. On his desk. The duty log auto-updated. Shift change complete. Then, faintly through the intercom, "You're late for your shift." The guard froze. Somewhere deep below, the hum of the building began again, patient, mechanical, and hungry.